You know, I made a joke the last time I was here that after Chimetti scored, Danilo scored, and then we actually won a game that I was dead and this could be heaven, but now I'm starting to look around. We just kept a clean sheet. Is this it? Is this my happy place? Hello everyone, this is Agenovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and it might just be a cheeky wee late upload tonight, but it's a late upload that lands with a smile as we are here to talk about another win. We're talking about another game of football in which we have picked up another 3 points. Danny Rohl's been in charge of 2 league games. We've won both of them, but this one's even sweeter than the 6 points that we've picked up. Is somehow, some way, again, we finally kept that back door shut for the last 25 away games, troop. You're talking about Clement, you're talking about Barry, you're talking about Russell Martin. Danny Rohl has came in and at his first chance at doing it, has went ahead and slammed that back door shut, breaking that horrendous club record that has embarrassed every single fan. And the best part is, he went here at Easter Road to go ahead and do it versus a team that had scored in 22 consecutive games at Easter Road. You can well and truly say that this Rangers team is rolling. And as much as I'm being daft here and having a couple wee jokes and having some fun, it doesn't necessarily make me blind to the fact that it wasn't a great performance. And I'm not sitting here saying there will be no more bumps on the road, because we're up and cooking and there's nobody going to get near us. Unfortunately, I can't say I would love to say that, but I can't say that, ladies and gentlemen, because again, it wasn't the greatest performance, and it certainly isn't up there in my top 5 performances at Easter Road. It's nowhere near the levels of the 3-0 under Gerrard when we went there with Joe Aribo, scanted them up and down the park. It wasn't to that level. But see, at the exact same time, you've got to sometimes take into consideration context and circumstances. And if you look at where we are in the short, very short period of time Danny Rohl's had to actually impact the squad and try things and even get to know his players. I mean, he's been in the job a week and he's had 3 games, pretty much 0 time on the training part to even begin to change things. And again, he walked into a dressing room that was absolutely on the floor with 0 confidence, 0 belief, and a team that genuinely looked like a bunch of individuals. So once you start balancing all that on that side of the scale, this result, this win, this 3 points we picked up today versus a high-flying, high-scoring Hibs team does become more impressive. And for me, it's a great win, especially in the manner and what happened, the way that it went ahead and unfolded. Not only the last 5 minutes penalty saved by Jackie B, because honestly, I don't know what I'm going to say about that guy today. You know what I mean? I'm not that way inclined, but if Jack wants to, I'd probably do it right now, because what more can he do for this football club right now? He is well and truly putting us on his back. Honestly, everybody else that's wearing the armband, just put the fries in the bag and just give the armband to that man. He's been incredible, and I believe, unless I've got my notes wrong by the way, that's now 6 of his last 7 penalties he's faced, he's went ahead and saved, excluding penalty shootouts. That's a ridiculous record for all the criticisms that man received last year, to sit here and put this team and this club and this fan base on his back during this bad time when we really need somebody. Full credit to Jackie B. Look, done and dusted in the summer, but it's scary to think where we'd be without the lad in between the sticks. So Jackie B, thank you. But it's not necessarily just about the goalkeeper as well that we're here to talk about. We won the day because we kept that back door shut again, and we had a bit more of a spine to our team. We defended, we threw our bodies on the line, we done the hard yards. And what have we accused this Rangers team of doing all season long? No one anything to do. We hard work, commitment, and doing the hard yards. Well, each and every single one of them was covered today, and guess what? That's why we won the game. And that goes back to the head coach in terms, Danny, and you see what he tried to do with his back three. Right, I look at the conversation all seasons, is it going to be Suter and Giga, Suter or Cornelius, Suter or Fernandes, Suter or Nassal? There's been lots of conversations and a lot of rotations round, and we've had the conversations between us, but what he went ahead and done and be like, we can't win a header, we can't handle the physicality, and we cannot keep a defensive line. So let's, instead of keeping us stretched thin and trying to balance out, let's put all 3 established centre backs on the park at once and let them marshal a backline. Let's hold them accountable for them, and let's have each and every single one of them pushing each other. And I thought the spine he put in place in terms of Suter, Cornelius and Giga was the best we have looked defensively, because again, this was a rotten game to watch. There's very little highlights, very little stuff to break down when we get to the game recap, barring obviously the big talking points. But again, a lot of that was due to the fact that we just kept the back door shut and we blocked off runners and we tracked men and we won headers and we won 50-50s. It's boring as S to go ahead and break down, but it's the complete opposite of us being ripped to shreds down the left, ripped to shreds down to the right, and conceding 15 shots on target every single game. Now, we just had a spine in the team, and the spine stood up. And I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I would much rather have these boring games with very little to talk about and collecting 3 points rather than the absolute circus and dumpster fire we've had to watch for far too long, you know what I mean? And this might get taken the wrong way, but it does remind me of Steven Gerrard's early days in terms of the dugout, because when Gerrard walked in, what did he do? He signed McGregor, he signed Goldson, and he solidified that area of the park. That's the bit. Everyone talks about Kent and Aribo and Morelos, who was obviously signed on the previous matter, but obviously excelling in there and all the attacking and all the goals. But Gerrard identified right away where this club needed to be strengthened and needed to be altered, and that was in the back line. He got that spine there, and then everything else built on for it. Then you could build an attack team, then you could score loads of goals, but you had no point in scoring 2-3 goals a game if you're also conceding 2-3 goals a game. It just balances it out, and that's what we've been doing for too long, chasing our tail with too many attack-minded players, too many attack-minded or attack-focused style of football. He just went, right, let it be ugly, but let's pick up the 3 points until we're in a place that we can start being more expansive and then start going. Again, I said it in the last video versus Kilmarnock, but I dare to say it was just a well-managed game for the guy in the dugout. Honestly, that's how I feel. Obviously, bigger tests to come, but all you can do is start climbing up that mountain and see how high you go ahead and go before the next slip or the next fall, and hopefully that doesn't come at the weekend. But in terms of a massive week for this football club and some massive games needing to build some momentum, that's exactly what this club's done. Whether it's a perfect performance or no, we want the team to be winning. We want these players to be delivering results. They've done it now. So yeah, fair play, lads. That's really big. Going to Easter Road in terms of the form where we are right now, keeping that back door shut, and getting a win. That's big for the boys. So we've praised Butland, who again, absolutely outstanding. And if you do stay for the match recap, it will be mentioned a couple of times, including the penalty breakdown. We've gave Danny his flowers for the short period and the impact he's had in that short time. But there was somebody else that really stood out to me that I need to go ahead and mention, ladies and gentlemen, who I thought for pound, height by height, player for player, was the best man on the park today, and that was Connor Barron. And I was going to say it's reminiscent of his early form under Claremont when he first burst into the team, but I'd honestly, hand on heart, say that's the best I've ever seen Connor Barron playing. Even the times when I sat here on the channel when he was playing for Aberdeen, I would sit here and say, oh, he's impressed me, he's playing really well, he's going to be someday we need to go in and look at. That's a performance that Connor Barron has well and truly put right up there, in my opinion. I thought he'd done every single ounce of the hard yards. Obviously with the style we were playing with the back three and the 2 wing backs. Raskin, who again ran his pan in as well, absolutely give him credit for that. But when you're in a midfield too, you need to run and you need to cover a lot of ground, and there needs to be a lot of selfless running, and you've got to burst your pan in. And again, where I give Raskin all the praise in the world, what seems like in every video, it was his wee co-star. It was Robin that won all the praise of the days. I just thought he was magnificent. He was there when we needed him. He put the challenges in. He slowed the game down. But also he took initiative and went forward with the footballs. What he used to do in his Aberdeen days, but he's not really done it in a Rangers team. Whenever we needed somebody to break a line and run in behind and just get us up the park, the wee man was willing to do that as well. And then eventually, if it did break down off the winger, lost it, or maybe Chimeta lost it versus Hanley, who was the first one back at the halfway line winning the ball again? It was Connor Barron. There was a couple of times I went, how many Connor Barrons are playing? That's the type of performance the kid put in. So I'm absolutely buzzing for him, and I'm really delighted Jackie B made the penalty save that went ahead and did, because I think it was technically on him there as he's trying to make up for Tav's mistake, who had an absolute horror show in the second half. Didn't worry, we will get there. But wee Barron deserved Jackie B coming out there and putting the cape on, because to me that just underlines what a near faultless performance wee Barron put in. Magnificent wee man, keep that up. And where I think the main conversation between man of the match is clearly between Butland or Connor Barron, there was a couple other names that I want to go ahead and mention, very briefly. First one's going to be the left wing back area in terms of young Jaden, and it makes me very happy that the last 2 games we've seen the best Jaden. In fact, we saw Jaden play at such a good level the day that Cadden, who's normally a pain in our jacksy, by the way, ended up picking up a yellow card early and needed to get ripped off. And that's talking about limping and hurting this Hibs team, that they can't get the ball in there, and they can't, obviously his brothers at the other side who can whip it in and they're decent, but you've cut one head off the old Hydra there, ladies and gentlemen, right away, and that's all doing to Jaden, who just a couple weeks ago looked dead and buried in a Rangers shirt. But do you know the tactical switch? Do you see the tactical switch? What did we talk about when we made the player profile video on Jaden? He's never played left back. In his entire career, all he's ever played was left wing back. His season prior, when he was at Preston, played left wing back because he's more comfortable going forward. And now we've actually got a manager that has identified this and recognises this and has put him in a position to cover his weaknesses and build on his strengths. Again, incredibly well managed, but again, you can only ever put the players in the position. It's only to step up and take it. I thought Jaden was brilliant today. Really, really did. Obviously, unfortunate to pick up his yellow card and then Bowie going ahead and make one of the most embarrassing dives I've ever seen. By the way, put him in a wee bit hot water, so he did have to be withdrawn, but very proud of that young laddie, and we're going to need that performance at the weekend if we're going to be smiling at the end of Sunday. But where he definitely stole the show for the majority of the time he was on in the wing area, I want to talk about the other side briefly, right? Because it's not at the same level. I thought Jaden was much better than Max Aarons, and I think Max needs to take the handbrake off when he goes forward because he's far too safe. But again, at the exact same time as for me, when I look at this game, and when I look at the game of two halves, and I look at where Hibs' strengths were and where we were weak, it was never doing the right-hand side when Max was it. That side, because he had pace. Cadden couldn't bully him. Cadden couldn't get to the byline. Cadden tried twice to get by him, and twice Max was right there each and every single time. And again, when you've got Jaden pulling the pants down in one Cadden, at the other side you've got Max putting another yin in a penitentiary and locking him down. So again, it was nullifying everything Hibs were good at. And I know everybody loves goals and assists and skills, but this is just about as good as it gets defensively. And I thought Max was very promising at the full back area or the wing back area in terms of his defending and putting a shift. Was it an amazing performance? No. But what I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is by God did that performance drop off a cliff the second he was moved at the left hand side and you saw Hibs having their way down the right when Tavernier came on the park, right? And I'm not turning this into this Max Aarons conversation. All I'm here is reflect on the game and where Hibs couldn't get nothing down that side for 45 minutes. The second we changed, it was night and day, and Hibs were building everything down that side and looked terrifying. So again, as much as we are frustrated about Max and he's made mistakes and he said some baffling things in the press, again, to give credit, he was much better the day. And we're going to need that, because clearly there's a problem when we make that switch. The last two players that I'm going to pick out individually before going ahead and talking about the entire team and then breaking down the game is going to be Mikey Moore and Mr. Chimete up top, because to me it was by far the best two performances in a Rangers shirt, and I was really impressed with Mikey Moore off the ball, because there has been some accusations, there has been some frustrations about off the ball switches off. Again, he's a young kid, he's a young lad of that skinny hat, but in a tough venue and on a away day when that crowd's right on top of you, I really liked his work off the ball. There were several times he came back. There was one he took off the, well, not off the line, but a couple yards because he cut out a pullback. There was time where he picked the ball up at the end box, span his man, won as a free kick, carried us up. There was another time where he ran about 50-60 yards with the ball after picking it up deep in his own half with two men on him. And that's what you need to do sometimes. Again, I'll not be a part of the highlight reel. I'll not make the goal packages that you see on Twitter. But if you watch that game of football, you'll know we might keep putting a shift today. And again, we needed it, and it just kept us ticking along. And then on to Big Chimete, who was involved in the goal, grabbed an assist. That's a goal and an assist. And to be fair, Hanley's a handful. You know what I mean? That was hard to say, that, by the way. And aye, he did lose a couple of the headers. Aye, he did lose the ball. Sometimes it was frustrating. But he also gave as good as he got, I thought. And he won a couple free kicks, held his man off, tried to link up the play. Again, he's still rough as dough. You know what I mean? Before that's chucked in the oven, you can see it. Sometimes it touches, sometimes it was falling away. But the big man is truly up for a fight, it seems like. And he's trying to show what he's got. And again, there was little glimpses. He's just got to build on that, build on that, and build on that. And let's hope he does it. But to save this video being about 4 hours long, I'm going to stop talking about individuals right now and just wait for them to come up naturally in terms of the game recap. But again, everyone to a man gave what they had today, and as a fan base, that's all you want to see. You didn't want a full-time whistle to go and be like, he's half-arsed it, he's walking about, he's no baller. No, everybody that played in the game gave everything, especially the starting 11, so I tip the old cap. Despite the build-up in today's video, the first chance of the game does fall from Hibernian as Raskin makes probably one of his few mistakes of the game. He's trying to run in the middle of the park, he's trying to get us forward, tries to zip a pass, it's a poor pass, and because we're piling people forward, one ball is all it takes into the space. Cadden runs, has a shot, it is a bit wide as Giga does well to force on a wee bit more to the right, and it's an easy save for Butland. But again, if you're a nerd like myself and you pay attention to the nerdy stuff and like that space that was created for him to run it in, after the first instance of that being countered and hit, all you saw was a tactical adjustment, and instead of having Giga here and Aaron's hugging the halfway line, he just tell Aaron to sit about 5 yards further back and just create that little bit of a bend, and just like that, the space wasn't there the rest of the game. You know what I mean? We've got a manager managing the game, troops. Oh, my ticker's away. The ticker's away. But again, from that moment, from that switch, a minute, 2 minutes later, we've got the ball into the back of net and we've took the lead because we've kept the back door shut. And aye, it's a wee bit scrappy, aye, it's a wee bit ugly, but what I see, ladies and gentlemen, is Raskin getting stuck in, winning the ball. I see Barron getting in and winning the ball, being brave, nipping about. Yes, the ball falls luckily to Chermeti, but then Chermeti doesn't panic, doesn't do anything silly, gets his head up, plays a ball to Danilo, and Danilo tucks it in to the back of net. But again, where the big man gets an assist for this, I'd actually say it was all down to Danilo's individual quality right here, because the way he tucks it in, he just rolls the ball with the top of his studs like he's Thierry Henry. Anywhere I'm going, am I watching highlights of the man playing in the Barclays era? He just rolls the ball with the top of his foot and just tucks it under the keeper, keeping it low and hard gone where none of them want to go. And it's such a brilliant individual finish, and I find him very, very interesting, and I find his career at Rangers interesting, and I find what Danny Roux is going ahead and doing, because again, we understand the reasonings for the back three or the back five, whatever you want to go ahead and say it, for the defensive point of view, but because we're playing like that, it means we can play two up top. And I think Danny Roux walked into the building at Rangers Football Club and went, that Danilo guy is actually a pretty damn decent player when he's got a striker beside him, because he's not a solo striker. We've seen that now, it's been proven. His Rangers career's shown he cannot play up front himself, but every single one of Danilo's games when he's been right at it, or he's had a big moment like scoring against Hearts in the 96th minute, scoring in these games is when he's had a striker next to him, he's able to run off him, but he's also able to build the play off him and hit wee 1-2s and use his movement cleverly. So I find that very interesting from Danny Roux, the fact that he's walked into this football club, picked up Danilo from the shadow realm that was Russell Martin, that was Barry Ferguson, that was Phil Clement, and went ahead and went like, no, you're actually a decent player if we just sit somebody right next to you. And that's back-to-back games the Brazilian scored, where again, everyone was like, oh, I mind him just a week ago. But that combativeness of the Rangers team and the combativeness of Connor Barron was there to be shown just several minutes later, where we nearly grabbed the second. As once again Barron snapped into the middle of the park, winning the ball. It bounces to Mikey Moore, and Mikey Moore just gets his head up and he's like, alright, Danny stuck it in that corner, let me stick it in this corner. But to be fair to the goalie this time, it's a big save, and he claws it away, where Barron takes the corner, and I went, oh, it's that second corner, oh my god. But unfortunately we couldn't quite get our head on it. But I thought again, even his set plays for the wee man was brilliant. It's just embarrassing we took them right off him at the start of the second half, and our set plays got significantly worse, but nobody talks about it. Now the 11th, 14th and 19th minute has more ugly, good stuff from the Rangers team there. The 11th minute saw John Souttar on his way going down, playing a back pass, but then Butland is able to do a brilliant slide challenge. I think it was a foul on Souttar as well, but Butland again was big in that moment. The 14th minute sees Jaden from outside the box hit a volley on target. I'm going, like that, and then in typical Rangers fashion, one long ball ends up countering us from the set piece. But again, go back and please watch the 14th minute for me. If you get any time, go and go back. It was like watching the Conte side with the amount of players, guys, we had running round the Hibs team. There was about 4 or 5 Rangers players sprinting back and getting into the box before any Hibs team. There's a real appetite. Now, and I loved it. And do you know who blocks it and blocks the wee cutback? Well, I mentioned it earlier on. It's Mikey Moore for a corner. Ladies and gentlemen, and again, Chermety's then involved defensively at that point as well and ends up getting it clear. And again, it's just a group that's clearly working together. The questions need to be is where was that energy, work rate and commitment under the previous manager? But again, that's long gone. It needs to be happening now. It is happening now. And again, it needs to continue because what they're showing us, they can do it. Now, the 19th minute sees the last little ugly side of the game that I mentioned in terms of the first half. But this is just what I love about it. This is what football can be. This is the part of football that gets me off my feet and starts cheering. That's what I love Thompson doing. That's what I love Jacko doing. This is the type of stuff I really love seeing. Right now, to be fair, from a defensive point of view, Soapy May's probably his one and only mistake of the entire game is he's just a wee bit further behind both Cornelius and Giga. Just slightly off as the Hibs player gets played in behind and it looks like we're going to get caught. But again, Giga out of nowhere, man. Just an absolute incredible slide challenge inside the box. Last man, that'd have been a penalty. That'd have been a red card and that could have been curtains probably for his Rangers career if you catch the way that's been sliding down that hill. But you talk about grabbing a moment and inserting yourself. That was an absolute brilliant last ditch slide challenge that yes, the offside flag eventually went down, but I'm telling you now, if the Hibs player puts that ball into the back of net or if that's given as a penalty kick, VAR's going to check that and show that he was onside because again Soapy's just keeping him onside. So we really needed Giga in that moment, so let's not forget about that in the game and the penalty saves and all this stuff. That's about as big as it gets defensively, and again I'm buzzing for the guy as well. That's how you impact yourself, because I imagine it would be an important player if we're going to continue to play this shape. But again, that's it from the ugly side of the game, because no talking about challenges or little blocks or slide challenges sort of makes the rest of the first half over like that. I mean, in the 30th minute, you have a corner kick whipped into Hanley. It gets up, as usual, big Grant Hanley gets his big cinder block on it, but it ends up gone just wide thanks to, I think, a fingertip save for Butland, but I think it's gone away anywhere. But again, the only other thing you can really talk about in the first half is one of the most embarrassing dives I've ever seen in terms of, baby, can we talk about this? You know what I mean? Remember Cantwell was on everybody was talking about Sky Sports, blah blah blah, getting picked out here, clipped here, and all your social medias. You couldn't look. Cantwell's dive. Well, can we start bringing up the Bowie stuff? Can we start talking about the Hibs players diving at least a wee bit? He's sitting going, oh my face, my face is set. He's punched me in the face. And then you watch the replay back. Jaden's touched him on the chest. Here. Oh, my face! And Ken, what's messed up about it? Not only does Jaden get in trouble for that, by the way, but the lino who's for here to my Botley Lucas said, away for it, looks at it and goes, it's a foul that. It's a foul that. The officiating in this country, and I've probably left it to this point of the video because I didn't want to just turn it and you hear the constant John Beaton stuff and what I think about him in terms and official, but he's shocking, man. The game was bad to watch in terms of a spectacle, right? I loved it because I like the dirty side of the game and I like the 3 points and I like the clean sheet. But in terms of trying to sell this product, is there any surprise there's zero money in this country? You're surprised that TV deals and TV companies aren't paying for that standard the cut. Every 2 seconds there was a whistle, then there was inconsistent whistle, and then there's random yellow cards getting issued out. He just loves seeing himself on the telly. That's what it feels like to me, and it was so stop-start in the first half, but the second half honestly would get football stopped. It was shocking, and there's no wonder there was no top football played. There was about 1 minute between every whistle in the game. But speaking of that second half, let us get into another double substitution at half time as Jaden was withdrawn, probably because the fact he was on a yellow card, which was never a yellow card, by the way. And then he obviously had that incident where he was accused of throwing an elbow, even though he's no touch. He touched him in the chest with his fingers, but my face! You know what I mean? He's had to take him off there to protect him from a card-happy referee. Yeah, we've got to lessen the quality on the park because the referees can't do their jobs. But also, so did Danilo come off, which did surprise a lot of people. But again, with what's coming at the weekend, you're probably going to need him because he's an informed striker. He looks like your best striker right now. And in Iron came Tavernier and obviously Gazima as well. And both of them had impacts in the game, but not necessarily for good reasons. The 47th minute starts with Gazima losing the ball as he's far too weak. His energy doesn't quite make up or match the intensity that was the first half. And after a counter-attack down the left-hand side of Rangers, where again we've now moved Max Aarons out there so Tav can play right back, it's actually Cornelius that makes his one mistake in the game of football as he tries to barge the player out. The player doesn't go out. Cornelius ends up missing the guy. The guy runs into the wing, drills it in the middle. I think it bounces off Bowie's like shoulder or chest, ironically, you know what I mean? Jaden's touch, it should have went down on his face, but ends up ballooning it just wide. You're thinking, wow, that was a scare. You think any touch on that, it's a goal. But Lady Luck was on her side as it hits him, but comes out the other way. And then several minutes later, we end up getting the ball back again, winning it. Guess who? Guess who won the ball back to start this attack? Yeah, it was Connor Barron, and Connor Barron picks a brilliant ball to the gas man. He's played in, just hit it, son, hit it. He's got to strike it, but hesitates, then his fake shots, then he falls there, and then wins as a corner, to be fair to him. But at the same time, man, just shoot. I don't know, I look like a player that hadn't touched the ball yet, barring the one mistake they hadn't. He was still finding his way into a game. But that's twice now I've seen Gazima no look like he can match the speed or intensity of a game unless he starts. So that might be something to address later on in the future. But he was miles off. He couldn't stay on his feet. He was slipping about air and air and air again. But again, from the corner, we end up hitting our worst set piece of the day now. Again, it was Tavernier that took this one. I don't know why Connor Barron, who's having a man of the match performance with some brilliant set pieces delivered on the money, is getting withdrawn from them. But Tav comes in, and this is my problem. And I'm not turning into a conversation because I love Tav just like 97% everybody is watching these. But he floats a big useless set piece into the box, right? And then he's slowly jogging, and that gives Hibs a counter attack that they nearly put the ball into the back in it if it isn't for some good defending for Giga, and then a clearance for Soapy. You know what I mean? You're talking about wee things like that that shouldn't be happening. Ride the hot hand. Barron's playing brilliantly. Just keep letting him take it. But speaking of the hot hand, Max Aaron does something I've not seen in real life. I only see in FIFA. He fakes a throw that way. The Hibs players bite it, and then he just goes, and then he chucks it to wee Barron, and Barron sprints forward, breaking the lines, cuts inside, has a shot, but it's very well defended by Rocky Bashiri, I think Hanley throws his leg at it, but it goes under it, and I'm sure the big man ends up blocking out for another set piece that, yes, Barron wasn't allowed to take or didn't take, and yes, it was just... So it started to get nippy, so subs started to happen, changes started to happen, and where I've been critical of the set piece delivery so far from Tav, about the 72nd minute, if I'm remembering it properly, wee cheeky free kick, he fakes it to the back post, there's a header across, I'm thinking that's going to be a goal. It was brilliant, it was well worked, another back-to-back week, or back-to-back game I should say, where we've had a set piece routine from a free kick. It's caught Hibs off guard, but we can't get the final header on it after we've headed it across the goal, but at least it was exciting. It did go out for another corner, but again, without banging the same drum, it was a poor set piece. But as the game started to get stretched and as the game started to get nervy, Hibs started to get much more attack down the right hand side of Rangers, throwing in a couple crosses that was well dealt with by Soapy, Cornelius and Jack Butland several times in there. You could feel the pressure starting to mount, and ladies and gentlemen, about the 85th, 86th minute, a massive blunder happens at the back. Now, where Tavernier does fall, and it's really bad, you know what I mean? It's like watching an old person fall down the stairs. It's no nice to ever see. Can I just point out one of my big frustrations? See, when you're a substitute in a game of football, I'm talking about the gas man here especially, right? Because Tavernier's going to get ridiculed, and yeah, he was really poor. But see, when I see a sub come on, and then he's walking about and he's jogging about, he's half-arsing it, that can't be the way. I'm a big fan of the gas man, but that gas is a flickering light right now, and he needs a wee bit more right now, and I think he just needs to help and run a wee bit harder. But that entire right hand side, when we made that change, fell off a cliff, if I'm honest with you. So it was my biggest fear in the game, so it was no surprise the big mistake happens down that side. We end up winning the ball, I think, or the ball gets passed into Tav. Tav tries to take a touch, he ends up falling over. The Hibs player, I think it's Junior Hoylett, ends up getting on the ball, and then Tav swipes at his feet, Barron swipes at his feet. I don't know who officially gives the penalty kick away because I had my head in my hands, but it's a penalty kick late in the game. Then in the penalty kicks happening, you're waiting, you'll be like, Jackie B, you've done a lot for us this season. Can you do it again? And what's great about this is it doesn't hit the post, doesn't go at the bar, doesn't go wide. It's a brilliant penalty, keeping it low. But Jack Butland again, phenomenal, Paul, getting to it again after a wee slight VAR check as well to see if he was off. He's like, of course he wasn't. He's just that good. Right now, 6 of his last 7 saves. You talk about big moments, big players, and people stepping up, knowing what this club's all about. Well, you've got someone on the sticks, ladies and gentlemen, that knows. And you look at the last 2 games, especially, even with his mistake. I'll talk about his mistake versus Kelly till the crowd comes home, because what happened 10 minutes later, after Tav ironically lost the guy at the back post. Remember the leg long cross? Mind the free header downward? Who was there again to bail this club out at 2-1 to give us the platform to go and win the game 3-1? Jackie B. Everyone criticised him last year, and rightly so. He was horrific last year. But the praise needs to be as loud as the criticism, because this guy's been absolutely ridiculous for his football club. And that's a big save and a big moment. And Jackie B was thankful there for his fan base and his club once again. Now, the later the game went on, there was a couple crosses coming. Manny Fernandez even came on the park. And do you know what was great? When you've got a 6'4", 6'5", 7'7" centre back on the park, he actually went up and went, boop, 2 headers. Boop. He doesn't even need to jump. You know, he's like, boop. Just headering the ball away, clearing the ball away, manhandling the likes of Grant Hanley. And even they bits didn't come up highlights. But you're talking about several set pieces, several long balls into the box that your big centre half just came in and headed. It's basics, aye. But it's basics we've not had for a very long time in this football club. So again, yeah, it's a brilliant, hard-fought win. Yes, there's some clear worries, especially rotations and subs, and if we're going to play this way, there's seemingly people that fits it and people that didn't. But again, it can't be fixed. It's not going to be a magical fix. He can't take this group of players and turn them into absolute world beaters. There's going to be ugly moments. There's going to be bumps. There's going to be wee bits and bobs until we get to January and start clearing out, but also bring in some in. All you can do is win your games, and that's him. That's what he's done. And to be fair, that's what the players have done as well. It's a tough place to go, Easter Road, especially to keep a clean sheet. So I'd much rather talk about that stuff than I do the exact opposite. So I'm very impressed with the team. It's hard fought, it was ugly, but they showed they're willing to work for this club. And that'll do for me, ladies and gentlemen. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. Let me know if you're happy, if you're sad, you're mad, or if you're glad. And let me know again, who's your man of the match in the game? Because there could be a couple wee special shout-outs there. But until next time, which will be the Old Firm preview, of course, I've been CJ over 92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.